Yo, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. So if you watched my regular season awards ballots video, you know that at the end, I alluded to creating our own kind of award show, alternative awards, things like the Thompson, the most improved player in the NHL, the Mike Milbury, the worst general manager this season, the Clarkson, the worst free agency signing. So we have a bunch of awards to go through. Almost 700 of you guys filled out my Google form, so thank you for doing that. This is the first annual Bonnys Award. If you follow me on TikTok or Instagram, you know that my username is MBon Hockey, Mbon. I get called Mbon. So we're doing the Bonnys. We're doing the Bonnys. That's what we're calling it. An award show voted by you smart followers. So yeah, let's dive into it. And up first, we have the Tage Thompson Award for Most Improved Player. The Thompson. Tage Thompson obviously broke out and took huge steps in that 2022 season after having 14 points in 38 games and not really an impact any other seasons. Had 38 goals, finally put it together, 68 points, and these are the Thompson Award ballot that you guys voted on. 27.6% of you guys. It was very close between 1 through 3, but Alexi Protas ended up winning it, and it makes perfect sense. 6 goals last year, only 29 points. This year, 30 goals, 36 assists, 66 points, and it's kind of funny that the first Thompson Award winner is kind of a similar guy in the sense, a big-ass dude, 6'6", took a little bit longer to develop and fully put it together. But he fully did that this year and now is one of the better wingers in the NHL. Dylan Holloway checks in at 22.2%, especially not only did he take steps in his game, but also just got such a bigger opportunity than being like stuck in the Edmonton Oilers bottom 6. In Edmonton last year, he had 9 points in 38 games. This season, 26 goals, 63 points. Big reason why St. Louis ended up making the playoffs. Amazing season by him. Marchenko checks in at 22%. Best player out of these guys last year and probably just the best player this season as well, but he still took a huge step. 23 goals, 42 points last year. This year, big year, 31 goals, 43 assists, 74 points. Arguably Columbus's best forward. We might be talking about that in the best free agency pickups, who their best forward was, but a co-best forward alongside Sean Monahan on a team that almost made the playoffs because Marchenko was that damn good. Big steps by him. Matthew Nyes checks in at 4th. Last year, definitely more of a passenger with Marner and Matthews. Not saying he wasn't a good player, but this year really emerged, kind of made it into like a big 5 on Toronto. 29 goals, 29 assists, 58 points. Last year, only 15 goals, 35 points. Just a great physical presence that has some real nice touch. And then lastly, we got Jackson LaCombe at 7.1%. The steps that he took this year were so impressive. I kind of had him as an afterthought in that Anaheim Ducks defense score coming into the year, but he might be the best guy now, even though he's a little bit older at 24 years old. Last year, only 17 points, playing 19 minutes a night, and was a minus 24. This year, 43 points, played like 23 minutes a night. Very good analytics, and especially once Cam Fowler got traded, he had 37 points in 55 games, playing like 24 minutes a night. A lot of the guys in the Anaheim Ducks with Cronin kind of plateaued or regressed. They're young guys. LaCombe really overcame that and still improved so much. So congrats to Alexi Protas for being the first ever Tage Thompson Award. Should we call it the Thompson or the Tage Award? I think Tage sounds a little bit cooler. But yeah, the way I would order it, probably Protas 1, Holloway 2, LaCombe 3, Marchenko 4, Nyes 5th. You're going to see I gave everybody like 10 to 12 options to choose from on this. At the end, I'll show you the Google form to show that I'm not bullshitting here and just making up these awards. These are award results. But yeah, there were some other guys that got like 4 to 5%, but none really came that much closer to the top 5. Next up, the Scott Gomez Award. When looking at Scott Gomez, he's a guy that kind of just fell off as soon as he got into his 30s, went from back-to-back high 50s point seasons to 38 to then 11 points, and then basically was that for a couple of years, washed up. And here are the guys that kind of got washed up this season. I think Chris Kreider is a clear number 1. I thought he was honestly going to be higher, but 41.6%. When looking at him, he had 39 goals, 36 assists, 75 points last year. Was one of the best power forwards in the NHL. This year, 22 goals, 8 assists for 30 points. An absolute disaster. I think he's going to play better next year, but probably just like 25 and 25. I don't know, like nothing too special. Definitely got a little bit unlucky with 8 assists. That's crazy, but fell off a decent amount. Zibanejad, in the first half of the season, he was definitely the pick for this. Not only not producing offensively, he was only going at like half a point per game, but defensively, he was so bad. He did rebound offensively and did start to play better defensively towards the end. So he only dropped from 72 points to 62 points. Steven Stamkos, you knew that he was going to drop off a decent amount, had like a horrible first third of the season, but then got back on track a decent amount, 27 37 goals, 26 assists, 53 points, but still no longer the player that he once was, even though last year was a little bit fake because like half of it came on the power play. Brady Shea checks in. There's a decent drop-off between Stamkos and Shea. 47 points in that friendly Carolina system to then being on his own in Nashville, basically, and dropping from 47 points to 33. And then Mike Matheson went from 62 points to 31 points. The lack of offense is understandable because Hudson took over as the power play number one, but defensively, not saying he was great defensively last year, but like he's been pretty shit all around this season. How I would order this, Kreider definitely number one. I think Brady Shea and Matheson should be 2 and 3. And then I'd go Zibanejad 4 and Stamkos 5. I think that makes sense. Zibanejad, I think people just like, once the Rangers were kind of out of it or behind in the playoff race, or like he's completely washed up. Still not what he used to be. But even last year, he wasn't anything like exceptional by any stretch. Next up, we got the Marian Hossa Award. Hossa signed a 12-year, $5.275 million contract in the summer of 2009 with the Chicago Blackhawks. Would go on to win 3 Stanley Cups, Hall of Fame career. Well, he was already had a fantastic career before that, but that really solidified it after losing back-to-back Stanley Cup Finals with Pittsburgh, then Detroit. But yeah, that's one of the best. That's probably the best free agency signing of all time. We got Anthony Stolarz winning by a pretty comfortable margin. Makes sense. 2 years, $2.5 million. Regular season only played in 31 games, but had a .926 save percentage and has been very good for them in the playoffs this year against the Ottawa Senators. I would probably have Monahan number 2 just because there's more term on it. I understand. I think that is a clear 1-2 and Duchesne is a clear 3rd. But yeah, Monahan, 57 points in 54 games this season on a per game basis. He was a legit $8.5 million player at 5.5. There is some age risk with this, but I think for the next 2 years, you're going to get a 65 to 70 point guy. Him and Marchenko have just been that good together. Duchesne checks in at 3rd. Only 1 year, so that kind of hurts a little bit, but the guy had 81 points this year. Kiefer Sherwood, amazing season, 19 goals, 21 points, 40 points, 21 assists, 40 points. Set the all-time hits record as well at $1.5 million this season and next. And then Gostisbehere in 5th, 3 years, $3.2 million, 45 points in 70 games. Very good season for him. So I'd have Monahan 1st. I'd have Stolarz 2nd, Duchesne 3rd, Gostisbehere 4th, Sherwood 5th. But again, I think you guys did a very good job with that as well. Next up, we got the David Clarkson, named after David Clarkson, who signed with the Toronto Maple Leafs after the 2013 lockout season and immediately fell off a cliff. It was a 7-year deal at $5.25 million. And here is our ballot. Lindholm checks in at number 1, 7 years, $7.75 million. You expected him to potentially like click with David Pastrnak, and if that did happen, put up like 65 points. That did not happen. 47 points, only 17 goals, as well as just not being that good defensively compared to maybe some of his Calgary years where he was better defensively. So yeah, that's a disaster. Already 30 years old. Brady Shea checks in at number 2 by a decent amount. 7 years, $7 million. Fell from 47 points to 33 points and isn't really known for his defense. Kind of not an all-offensive defenseman, but definitely more of an offensive guy. Chandler Stevenson, 7 years at $6.25 million. It's 51 points this year, but only 13 goals. A lot of the power play. He racked up a lot of power play assists this season. So I don't even think that this year was that sustainable. And he's 31 years old at this point. Analytics were horrendous. Like he was bottom 5% and even strength offensive defense. So that's probably not going to age well. Shout out Ron Francis, got promoted despite it. Steven Stamkos in 4th. It's only a 4-year deal, and again, I think with what he showed in the back half, back 2/3, I think he can be a $6.5 million player the next 2 years, maybe. Give you like 30 and 30. 30 and 30 might be even a $7 million player, but still, just too much money, and he is getting up there in age, so there is some serious age risk at 35 years old. And then Zadorov, okay deal. Pretty bad just because the Bruins are now selling so hard, but 6 years, $5 million, gives you like 20, 21 minutes, physical guy, but I think Boston fans definitely regret it and wish that they did not spend their money on him. Next up, the Jonathan Cheechoo Award. He won the Rocket Richard in 2006 after the lockout with a 56-goal season, basically fueled by playing with Hart-level Joe Thornton or Hart-winning Joe Thornton. He had another 37-goal season after that, the year after, but again was playing with Joe Thornton, but then 4 years later was out of the NHL, just fell off a cliff. And yeah, I think Ryan Donato is a worthy pick for this. 31 goals, 31 assists this season on the Chicago Blackhawks. In a contract year, they decided to not trade him. They should have traded him. But yeah, I can see him. He's still a solid player. I can see him being a solid like 17 goal, 20 assist, 37 point guy. But in terms of this freak of a season, He should not be playing as much as he did this year compared to next year with the young guys that Chicago has up and coming. He's going to get the bag, and he's already like 29 years old. Morgan Geekie, 33 goals. He kind of had the production that you expected from Mr. Elias Lindholm. He scored 33 goals. Yeah, monster season by him because he played with David Pastrnak. It's one of these things where he could probably repeat it next year if he plays with Pasta, but as soon as he goes down to that second line or goes to a different team, potentially as an RFA, he ain't coming close to 33 goals again in 27 or 24 assists, 57 points. Sherwood, offensively, I don't know if he's going to be being a consistent 20 and 20 guy. I think he can be 15 and 15. But yeah, there weren't a bunch of great candidates for this. I looked for a lot of guys in like their late 20s, early 30s that had big career years. Pia Suter honestly might be able to kind of sniff this again just because Hedel, I don't know if he's going to be able to stay healthy. Pedersen's been a mess. So like he might just have to be like the number one center in Vancouver potentially. But yeah, he had 25 goals, 20 assists, 45 points. Very impressive season by him. The Milbury Award, Barry Trotz, Sweeney, and Drury all so close in this. But yeah, for Barry Trotz, last year they made the playoffs. It was off the back of like 16-game point streak, but still added Stamkos, added Marchessault was actually a pretty decent signing. He was productive this year. Added Brady Shea, traded Askarov, kind of went all in on this core, and had the third worst record in hockey. So yeah, that's understandable. Don Sweeney and Drury both had extremely high expectations after great regular seasons last year and winning rounds in the playoffs. Sweeney shat his pants with the Lindholm and Zadorov signings. Barry Trotz and Don Sweeney have 4 out of the 5 worst signings on this. Chris Drury checks in at 23.1%. Handled Trouba so bad with his captain. Traded Capo Caco for kind of peanuts, a 3rd-round pick and a 6th-round pick, and Will Borgen, then extended Will Borgen on a 5-year deal, even though he's like 29 years old. Went aggressive for Miller, which I still think Miller was worth that price, but not really for this team. Doubled down, might be giving up the 11th overall pick. Then we got Steve Yzerman in 4th, which we're going to talk about when we're looking at the lopsided trade award. That one's going to be pretty high if you know what I'm talking about. On top of Tarasenko, it's kind of been a disaster. 2 years, $4.75 million. Lou Lamoriello in 5th at 8.2%. Duclair has not worked out, unfortunately. He hurt his hip. It just has not been the same player since that, and the rest of the team is all just like pretty mediocre. I'm going to be honest with this one. I forgot to include Ron Francis on the poll. I don't think he would have finished top 3, but he did sign the Stevenson, did sign Montour. I like the Capo Caco trade, and I like that trade for Burke, trading away Bjorkstrand and Gord. So maybe he wouldn't even been on this. Definitely would have been top 3, but hand up, that's on me. Mike Milbury, famously, by the way, I forgot to explain the award. Just look at this. This was in a 365-day stretch. Traded Jokinen and Luongo away, as well as Zdeno Chara in the pick that became Jason Spezza. Next up, we have the Quinn Award, named after David Quinn, who was the coach of the New York Rangers and kind of fumbled the development of guys like Capo Caco and Alexis Lafreniere. Then went to San Jose to kind of just be their like tank commander. He succeeded at that, but he succeeded at losing games, so I named the award after him. Yeah, Peter Laviolette makes sense. I just realized I misspelled Laviolette. I need an O next to the I there. But yeah, 33.3%. Although I blame Drury. I blame just like the straight up players a decent amount. Going from President's Trophy to an 85-point team, simply unacceptable. I wasn't expecting a great defense, but I wasn't expecting a bottom 5 defense in the NHL. Unacceptable from him this season. Lost the locker room entirely. Guys like Trouba and then Capo Caco just not really caring and getting himself traded. Very underwhelming season by Laviolette. Greg Cronin, despite taking that 21-point jump in the standings, I think we all agree it was because of the goaltending. On the podcast, they went from negative 15 goals saved above expected to 30 to plus 30. So that literally got them 21 points in the standings, basically. Most of their young players outside of Jackson Lacombe that we were talking about before did not take steps, if anything, regressed. Tortorella makes a lot of sense. Not a rebuilding coach. Matvei Michkov, he was benching him at times, despite when he was actually getting ice time, was like a point per game guy. Unacceptable. Lindy Ruff, I hated this hiring in the moment. A lot of people said, oh no, but he had success in Buffalo. Yeah, he had success in Buffalo 2 decades ago. And yeah, they were a disaster. And Patty Waugh checks in at 5th, a distant 5th place. But when you have the 2nd worst power play, 2nd worst penalty kill, arguably the worst special teams units combined of like the 21st century, yeah, that's somewhat going to fall on you to not make changes. And even at 5-on-5, they were still very boring. Next up, we got an award that a lot of NHL fans want to see get added into the NHL. This isn't one of these shits and giggles ones. The Slavin Award, the best defensive defenseman in the NHL. And maybe I induced a little bit of bias by naming it the Slavin Award, but I think even regardless, even if I called it the Chris Tanev Award, he probably would have won. Slavin would have won. Going away, so damn good. Even though it wasn't during the NHL season, the Four Nations, I think, reminded people just how special this guy is defensively. He's awesome. Chris Tanev, a clear, valid number 2 choice, doing it yet again after going to Toronto, has really stabilized that blue line. Dylan Sandberg getting some love. You guys probably watched my top 10 most underrated players. He checked in at number 1, has taken huge steps. Gavrkov's been awesome. We had some real concerns heading into the season with Doughty missing the first 4 months, how they were going to look. Gavrikov, as well as Mikey Anderson, stepped up in big ways, especially defensively. Gavrikov was playing like 23-30 a night. And then Mackenzie Weegar getting some love. Absolutely love to see that. One of the more underrated defensemen, still somehow definitely a top 20, maybe even top 15 defenseman in the NHL. Next up, the Marcus Naslund Award. This is the most lopsided trade. Naslund was traded to Vancouver for a guy that put up like 2 points in 60 career games. That was a bust. And Wallman checks in first. I definitely understand this, considering the Sharks gave up absolutely nothing. They literally got a second-round pick to take on Wallman at $3.4 million. He was arguably worth $6.8 when he played for this team. But yeah, that's the most definitive one. Logan Thompson, I think lifetime value could pass Wallman for sure. But Wallman, there's no negative. Even in the moment, and especially after they flipped him, there's literally no negative from that. Not saying those 2 third-round picks for Logan Thompson is going to turn into superstars. But yeah, I think Thompson, it probably should be closer between the two if I were guessing what it would have been. Brad Marchand for conditional second. I don't like this one being so high because he basically demanded to go to Florida. I know you could say they should have just never traded him, but once they decided he said, yeah, I only want to go to Florida. Please do right by me. And they were never really going to get a big package. It's like saying last year that the Tarasenko deal was lopsided in Florida's direction, but that was a similar situation where he said, I'm only going to Florida. So I would have Ullmark definitely ahead of Marchand. And based on the way Florida's looking, they might be making the Eastern Conference Finals and that turning into a first-round pick. Ullmark trade is looking crazy considering that 25th overall turned into Dean Latorno, who had 3 points in 35 college games at Boston College. Korpisalo has been horrible, still has 3 years left at $3 million, and Kastelik's just like an okay bottom sixer. The Line A deal, I don't mean to be sounding like a Montreal hater by any means. It's definitely Montreal won it by a decent amount, but he does make $8.7 million, and he was pretty lackluster in the first couple playoff games, got benched. I know he was dealing with an injury, but yeah, I wouldn't have him top 5. Montreal, again, definitely won that trade, but the salary, I think people just take the contract out of it when you definitely got to apply the contract. He has another year at $8.7 million, but still a solid deal. Next up, we got the O. Thompson Award. This is Ryan O'Reilly and Tage Thompson. Tage Thompson has 2 awards named after him. Maybe we should switch one of those. But that is the most clear win-win trade of the last decade, if you get what I mean. St. Louis Blues go on to win the Stanley Cup in 2019. Ryan O'Reilly's their best player probably in that entire season, as well as Tage Thompson turning into that star for the Buffalo Sabres. And yeah, as you can see, 2 through 5 don't have percentages. It's not because I'm lazy. It's because I ran an initial poll because I knew PLD and Kemper were going to win by so much. You'll see the second poll where I took out PLD and Kemper, so to get more accurate who's the second best. But yeah, it's clearly PLD and Kemper. Pierre-Luc Dubois had a great season, amazing defensively and really productive, got back to what we thought he could be. And Kemper had a .921 in 50 games for LA where they had big question marks regarding the goaltending. The Sergachev trade, although we agree Sergachev's the clear best player in that trade for Tampa Bay, they brought in McDonough earlier. They no longer really had that need for Sergachev and picked up a second-round pick, picked up Geekie, who I'm still very high on going forward. JJ Mosier's been solid within their defense core. Big win-win. I agree that this is probably the second biggest win-win. Mikko Rantanen into the Dallas Stars. When looking at it, it's definitely been a win for Carolina, considering Stankoven has been so good, and they picked up 2 first-round picks and 2 third-round picks. And for Dallas, yeah, I still like it, even though Rantanen maybe hasn't performed to the level that we know that he's capable of, and maybe he's a little bit of a McKinnon merchant. Still, I think that he's going to be a very, very good player. They locked him up at only $12 million, even if he is just a consistent 40-goal, 90-point kind of guy at $12 million. You're taking that every day of the week, and it's definitely their time to win now. Chychrun to Washington. I feel like people will try to argue that this should be on the Naslund one, potentially, and I get Chychrun's definitely the big talent upgrade, but when you add the context that Ottawa already had 2 left-handed defensemen that were roughly the same age, or Sanderson decently younger, making $8 or more million, they had to move off Chychrun, and Nick Jensen was essential for this team making the playoffs this year, and they picked up a third-round pick. Fit-wise, it was a solid deal for Ottawa. Talent-wise, it clearly leans in Washington's direction. And then Brock Nelson to Colorado has not exactly played that good for Colorado thus far, but definitely for the Islanders, they're loving it, and I still think Colorado can beat the Dallas Stars, and I think Brock Nelson maybe also re-signs in Colorado. Maybe he likes it there. Definitely a win-win there. And then lastly, we have the most underrated player in the NHL, the Barkov Award. And yeah, these guys are stars. Notice me putting the Hagel pick of him in Buffalo. Sorry, Buffalo fans, for the absolute devastation that you probably felt by that. But yeah, these are elite star level guys that, yeah, I agree, still don't quite get the shine that they deserve. Keller, Thomas, Brad, Hagel, Suzuki. Yeah, they're underrated. I still don't love picking, like, these guys are like top 60 players in the NHL. I don't love picking those guys for my most underrated, but I understand when I do a big poll like this, I don't expect to get 25 Dylan. Some people did write in Dylan Sandberg, but Dylan Sandberg shouts. I like to pick the more underrated, but I think among the elite guys, this is a damn good list. Suzuki, I think 2 months ago, yeah, I would agree. After the great run that he had, I think people have this guy as a legit number 1 center, top 35 player in the NHL. But yeah, let's go over to the actual results now so you know that I'm not lying. Okay, here we are. 684 responses. Shout out to you guys. As you can see, I am not lying. Guys that almost made it for the most improved: Connor McMichael, Pavel Dorofeyev. Very good seasons by those guys. The Gomez, the next closest was Nyquist, Dmitry Orlov, but yeah, it was a pretty concrete, cut and dry top 5 there. The Clarkson Award, some other guys, Zadorov, and then you got Dumba, you got Tarasenko, who's that other small sliver, Anthony Duclair, didn't get enough votes. Best UFA signing, some others that you guys loved. Fogel, Zucker was really good in his 1 season, but only 1 season. The Slavin, some other guys were Siegenthaler, Pellick, Mikey Anderson, Essa Lindell, the usual names when you think about defensive defensemen. Again, not enough for the Cheechoo. Some other guys I put here: Alvin, 3.5%. Kevin Adams, 2.9%. I should have put Ron Francis. God damn it. Worst coach, Dan Blysma. That's tough because, I mean, I think he didn't do that bad of a job, and you guys did not really think so as well. And then Andrew Brunette. Again, I blame Barry Trotz more for bringing in washed-up old guys. The Naslund, some other ones that got the votes. Blackwood, the Blackwood trade, the Trouba trade. Yeah, I would have that over those two over the Line A trade. I'm not going to lie. Or the Capo Caco one. I still like the Line A deal for the Montreal Canadiens. Don't kill me. And then the O'Reilly. This is the one where I had to do the 2 different ones. As you can see, Sergachev won it out with 20% in the second one. Then Rantanen, Nelson, Chychrun, Jones, Knight in a first. Yeah. Let me know in the comments, what do you think about this? Let me know. I'll be seeing you in the next one. Peace.